You remember when the Warriors first showed up with their small ball, their depth lineup, all of that stuff? It took teams a while to like, okay, well, if we're going to compete, we got to load up on wings. We got to do this. Jokic is on the verge of starting to make teams improve their big depth just to throw bodies at him. You don't want Jaren Jackson Jr. guarding him. You don't want Bam guarding him. You don't want Anthony Davis guarding him. So the only way to do that is if you have actual bigs that can guard him. So I think Denver's just ahead of the curve, and they have a chance. It'd probably be 1-2 years before teams know and figure out how to really best match up with them.
That was his comment. Yeah, I don't really see it. I don't really see teams that you can't. There is no Jokic stopper, right? Let's just put that out there. There is no silver bullet to defending Jokic and his brilliance. He has size. He has cunning. He can shoot the three. He can take you inside. He can post up. His passing ability. He spaces the floor. I mean, he literally does everything. I don't think
he's a point center.
He's a point center, for crying out loud, right? So there's no true roster construction that you're going to use to stop him outside of traditionally. Most teams are going to carry 2, maybe 3 bigs. Maybe you have a versatile 4 or 5 who's starting like a Jaren Jackson, and maybe you have a Steven Adams on the backup. I don't see them doing anything different other than cloning Jokic and putting him out there, and that guy's just not there. I do like the Bam hybrid center as well in terms of making Jokic play defense. You know, Bam has showed the ability to knock down the mid-range shot. He has the athleticism. He has the speed to maybe take him off of the dribble, maybe make him work that way. So you have a guy like a Bam who can space the floor a little bit. He can knock down a mid-range, not necessarily, he's not a three-point shooter, but he can knock down a mid-range. He can attack the basket. So you make Jokic move his feet a little bit. As Jamal Crawford said, moving from east to west. And what Bam also likes to do is trying to get into his body. I think that is the type of center that you want to counter Jokic with offensively. But defensively, I mean, if it's not AD, if it's not Bam, who's out there to defend him? You know, and what Bam is going to find out is what AD found out is that, you know, you look at what these guys did on both ends of the floor, they had a great run. They had a good series. And you look at what Jokic does, and then you realize that it just wasn't good enough. That's how great Jokic has been in these playoffs and in these finals. In the finals.
Like, I just don't understand what type of defender do you see at center coming through the draft that's going to stop Jokic? Like, Anthony Davis is considered one of the top end defenders at the big position. Couldn't stop Jokic. So you're going to tell me that somebody comes through the draft is greater center defensively than Anthony Davis? Like, when Anthony Davis is fully healthy, he could be one of the top shot blocking centers, one of the top defenders because of his versatility of guarding the perimeter, guarding the paint. Had a tough time with Jokic, right?
Both of them.
I just what's the next thing?
Yeah,
I think what you said is right. You got to go with, if you're going to attack Jokic, you got to make him work defensively, and he's been decent on defense. Like, Bam's still getting his, you know. So
right.
If that's the way I see you countering, I don't see people go to stock up on bigs, because then you're now just changing your depth to more to a bigger lineup and maybe less mobile.
Yeah,
like you're hoping that you can find centers like that, and finding a center that is that agile, that strong at that height. Like, Jokic is a 7-footer, you know, like that's not a lot of guys are produced like that. You don't get a lot of Shaqs coming into the league, not a lot of Yao Mings. There's very few and far between. Even Embiid, you know, we didn't get to see that matchup, but that's probably the closest you're going to get to someone who can fully match what Jokic does, and not many Embiids come through the draft.
No, not at all, man. And, you know, the old adage in sports that, well, it used to be that a good defense beats a good offense. I think that still holds in baseball when you look at, you know, pitching and relief pitching and infield defense. I think that's why in baseball it's not always that the best team wins. It's a team that's playing the best that goes on that run. But in football and basketball, because of the rules shifting towards the offense, A good offense is going to be the good defense. So maybe the best counter to Jokic is, as you said, number one, having the star power that can compete and having a better offense, right? If the Heat's offense that has taken them to the finals shows up in this series, it's a much tighter series. But they're not hitting their threes, and they're not scoring as much. I think in the 3 games, they've several of these games they've scored less than 100 points. So, you know, I think it's more on the offensive side that you're looking to counter them, but not with a player, but with your overall team. Just offensively, you got to be better. So,
yeah,
just interesting debate indeed.